Everybody, welcome to the Cow's channel. This is a Cow's opinion, and let's just, get right into it. Lately, I'd been talking about how I was afraid Cow's opinion had been too negative, and so last episode was a positive. We talked about the Super Mario Brothers movie. I'm really happy with how many people watched that video. We're going to get a little negative or positive, depending on how you think, because it's all over my Discord. It's all over CNBC. It's all over all the gaming websites. The UK regulator, the Competition Markets and Authority, has decided to block the Microsoft Activision deal. We're going to look at a couple of these articles going over it, but basically, the CMA is their antitrust competitor. It's like the FTC here in America, and they're the ones that make sure that, companies aren't getting too big. And this regulator is decided, nah, that'll make you too big. Which is weird, because the Competition Markets Authority in the recent week have been signaling a softening of their stance, which is very unexpected. Now, CMA says that their decision is mainly about the future of cloud gaming, where Microsoft is a key player. Now, the articles I found have confirmed Microsoft has literally, the numbers are a little wonky, but because it's impossible to get 100%, but they've got about 2/3 of the cloud gaming market, which, Xbox Game Pass is probably your best buy in the gaming sphere as to getting a ton of great games for not a lot of money. But because of this, the CMA is saying that this could lead to reduced innovation and less choice for UK gamers over the years to come, and that they did not like any of Microsoft's proposed workarounds or solutions to the issue. Microsoft has a strong position in cloud gaming, and the evidence available to the CMA showed that Microsoft would find it commercially beneficial to make Activision games exclusive to its own gaming service. Now, the CMA is really big on cloud gaming. Now, Microsoft, it's not just Xbox, just like Sony's not just PlayStation. They point out that Microsoft has Xbox and Windows and the Azure cloud platform and Games Pass to all help them, and they are viewing as an important, fast-growing sector to avoid buying expensive consoles. And that is a weird thing to say, because trust me, if Stadia was any proof, we are way too many years away for that to really be a concern. I mean, I would be surprised if cloud gaming can help you avoid an expensive console within 10 years, because the internet that you need to cloud game is huge, and not something that even a lot of people who make a living on YouTube are necessarily going to have as a decent expense, and it's just not very good. The infrastructure, even if you could afford the internet, the infrastructure to get you to the internet is not there. Now, they did go over Microsoft's remedies, like guaranteeing at least 10-year deals, as insufficient, and I want to make sure I get this part right. They said that the remedy, which was, hey, we're signing all these 10-year deals, we're guaranteeing Call of Duty's not going single platform anytime soon. But it says that those remedies are insufficient because they require regulatory oversight to make sure Microsoft doesn't break the deal. And they're not covering different business models such as subscriptions, which is, like Xbox Game Pass. And risk disagreement between Microsoft and other cloud gaming providers. No other providers are really that big, given the amount of changes that might happen in the sector over a 10-year period. Now, again, that's not necessarily a bad idea on the CMA's part. You can't predict how big or little some part of the gaming industry sphere is going to be over the next 10 years. That's 2033. I have no idea what's going to be huge then. If I did, I would put all of my money on that and make a fortune. Now, both Microsoft and Activision Blizzard have said they're appealing this. This is not the final say. It's not the final say now. Not yet. They're gonna fight. So we're gonna have, news coverage for a while on this. So Microsoft President Brad Smith has said, we remain fully committed to this acquisition and will appeal. The CMA's decision rejects a pragmatic path to address competition concerns and discourages technology innovation and investment in the UK. We have already signed contracts to make Activision Blizzard's popular games available on 150 million more devices, and we remain committed to reinforcing these agreements through regulatory remedies. We're especially disappointed that after lengthy deliberations, this decision appears to reflect a flawed understanding of this market and the way the relevant cloud technology actually works. Which, yeah, of course they're going to say that. And not to be a fanboy, but to give Microsoft a little credit, we have no idea how far cloud technology and internet infrastructure will come in the next 10 years. This might be huge or it might be nothing. But it is the CMA's job to make sure that if it's huge, everything's okay. But oddly enough, Activision came out guns blazing. The CMA's report contradicts the ambitions of the UK to become an attractive country to build technology businesses. We will work aggressively with Microsoft to reverse this on appeal. The report's conclusions are a disservice to UK citizens who face increasingly dire economic prospects. Get to that in a second. We will reassess our growth plans for the UK global innovators, large and small. Oh, that's a period and not a... Okay, we will reassess our growth plans for the UK. Global innovators, large and small, will take note that, despite all its rhetoric, the UK is clearly closed for business. The UK has not been having a good time economically. A lot of places aren't. China's got super low growth. The EU's dealing with a bunch of stuff. We have inflation finally cooling off here in America, so at least that's good for us. But the UK everyone's been having trouble coming out of COVID, as expected. But the UK is having a bit more trouble than a lot other so-called first-tier, first-world countries. And there is concern among some businesses, whether it's true or not, that the UK may not be as helpful to them as, say, America or Europe or Australia might be. So again, the article goes on to talk about how the CMA had been setting aside concerns, especially brought by a bunch of Sony stuff, and Sony is a laughable person. Listen, and because they'd also said last month in March, Sony's dominant position in the console market motivates Microsoft to keep publishing Call of Duty there. Sony has, especially in Japan, people have started to take notice that Xbox is just locked out of Japan because Sony signs their game makers to deals that you won't put it out on this American console. And, at a time when American politicians really want to show strong for American businesses, it's something that they're starting to talk about a little more in Congress. And Japan has honestly said, there's not really a lever that they can pull to keep Sony from doing this. Japanese business is a bit different than American business. Not good or bad, just different. And there's not really anything that they can easily do to try to make Sony stop that. Sony funds a lot of game development, but then demands you don't put it out on other consoles. The fact that Nintendo Switch is so freaking popular and portable is what makes it, and then PC gaming, which is bigger worldwide than Japan, those keep going out, but Sony wants to keep its consoles. So, what happens next? Well, Microsoft and Activision are going to appeal. The EU is going to set up findings and announce them on May 22nd. Now, it has been leaning even more towards Microsoft, but the CMA may give some of the more anti-Microsoft faction people there a little bit of cover to come out and say we oppose it too. The FTC is also challenging in court, but without federal jurisdiction may struggle to block it. So one of the worst things that can happen for the CMA is if only the CMA says no and everybody else says yes, which so far everybody else has been saying yes. If the FTC does not block it successfully or decides, we're not going to win this fight, we're not going to waste it, and they stand down, and that would give the EU may also stand down, or one of the other, the EU may say no first and let the deal go through, and that would make the FTC less likely to fight as well, because the other big regulatory body is not. The big problem for the CMA is if Microsoft says, you know what, we just won't put out Activision products in the UK. Because the UK is not a huge gaming thing when you compare it to all of Europe, all of Japan, all of Southeast Asia, all of China, all of the United States. The UK itself is a small portion, and they may just say, okay, well, we're just going to pull out. We're not going to do business in the UK for a while. The CMA would be devastated by this because it would make them look really impotent. I'm not saying this is going to happen. This is a worst case scenario for them. But the CMU would look really terrible, as well as all of the UK gamers would probably demand a lot of change because you just kicked out their favorite games. Now, Microsoft is trying to close the deal before July 18th, when it would be liable to pay a termination fee in the billions. And we have actually had an update this morning because overall troll and Activision Blizzard CEO Bobby Kotick has come out and talked about the deal itself. His full statement is, today the Competition Markets and Authority, a regulatory agency in the UK, decided not to approve our merger with Microsoft. This isn't the news we wanted, but it is far from the final word on this deal. Alongside Microsoft, we can and will contest this decision, and we've already begun the work to appeal to the UK Competition Appeals Tribunal. We're confident in our case because the facts are on our side. This deal is good for competition. The UK hopes to grow its leadership position in technology, and a combined Microsoft Activision would accomplish exactly that. At a time when the fields of machine learning and artificial intelligence are thriving, we know that the UK market would benefit from Microsoft's bench strength in both domains, as well as our ability to put those technologies to use immediately. By contrast, if the CMA's decision holds, it would stifle investment, competition, and job creation throughout the UK gaming industry. This merger is a complex process, and I know I'm not the only one frustrated by the hurdles and delays. We've accustomed to a company culture that moves quickly to accomplish big goals, so it's tough when we can't close things out at our usual energetic pace. We'll keep pressing our case because we know this merger will benefit our employees, the broader UK tech force, and players around the world. I'm going to do everything I personally can to advocate for us and help regulators understand the competitive dynamics in our industry. What gives me confidence is that, whether on our own or united with another company, we're one of the strongest companies in our industry, poised for continued growth and building on our incredible IP. I appreciate your continued hard work and focus, and for continuing to connect and engage our players around the world. This is the best time to be in our field, and you all represent the best of our industry. We'll keep you updated on next steps as they happen. So this was an internal email to staff that somebody released. So what does all this all say? Now, he talks about machine learning and artificial intelligence, which are being considered for the gaming industry. Now, this is the thing that the CMA might be a little worried about. Microsoft is a leader in both of these. In fact, Microsoft is currently seen as the leader in artificial intelligence. If you block their $70 billion deal, is Microsoft going to want to invest in these fields in your country or somebody else? And look, it's a time when I don't know if this deal is overall good or bad for the gaming industry. I don't think anyone can confidently say that. I think that what we have here is two sides saying, obviously the Microsoft Activision side is talking about all the benefits, and the CMA is talking about all of the detriments. And this is natural. This is their jobs. They're supposed to, approve or disapprove of things based on what side of the coin they're looking at. But this, I don't know how effective this will be, but it's not necessarily a bad shot to take. Microsoft can be just like, well, if you guys aren't going to approve our deals to make our company stronger, well, we're not going to do business in your country. We have no reason to. Microsoft is a big multinational corporation with a lot of workers, and the reason why they're doing this all-cash deal and Sony hasn't been able to do massive acquisitions like that is that Microsoft prints money way more than Sony does, and they're finally ready to start using some of that money to help dominate the gaming industry more. So, this is big news. Even CNBC and other major investment websites have been going over it. As of now, Activision is down 11%. It was down 10% when I first heard the news broke because of worries that it might not go. Microsoft is actually up 7%, but that has got nothing to do with this. They had a really strong earnings report on Tuesday, and they've just been, banking on it. It's probably going to break $300. It was that good of an earnings report. So, yeah, usually the positive and negatives are if people want the deal to go through. I don't think that Microsoft investors don't want the deal to go through. I think they're just really high off of a great earnings report. Yeah, flawed understanding of this market. The UK is clearly closed for business. And we are going to have to just see, like, here's Sony. Sony is down. That's in yen. I don't think Sony has an actual. Nintendo is here. Nintendo's down, but only slightly, so that's probably. Nvidia is huge because it also, I believe, had a good report. So, yeah, the biggest thing still waiting on this deal are if the EU is going to probe and either agree or disagree, and if the FTC can actually get this blocked. I know they really want to, but there's been concerns that they just might not have any jurisdictional legal stuff they can hang their hat on and get in front of. In America, you have to be able to take it through a judge, and the judge is going to be happy to block deals, but the judges aren't going to block any deals if you don't have any legal reasons. We just think this is bad for competition because we think it's bad for competition. You have to have a legal reason in America. So we will see how this goes, guys. Let me know down below. Do you think this is the end of the deal? Or do you think that this is possibly... Yeah, here's an article that says, maybe doomed, but the tech future is bright. Honestly, if only the UK blocks it, I'd feel very sorry for UK gamers, because I think that Microsoft would just be like, okay, we'll just not release Activision Blizzard products in the UK anymore because you said you don't want it and you will block the deal. So we won't do business there, and you guys can just, the rest of the world is more than big enough to get by with the UK. That's a drastic thing, but it is a possibility. Guys, let me know down below. Do you think this is the end, the beginning? Let me know if this makes you happy, if this makes you irritated. Do you think Sony just pulls the same stuff and gets away with it? Do you think Bobby Kotick is possibly going to get a couple $1 billion for nothing? Let me know, you guys. And we'll keep an eye on this. I'll see you next time.